I like to say that I was a New Yorker before I ever lived in New York. I grew up in California watching documentaries about New York and children's programming that was filmed out of the PBS station in New York. When I graduated from college in 2001, I knew New York was my next stop, and I had an agent, and I had a sublet, and I had work lined up. I just didn't have an apartment, but New York became my home in 2001. I love the energy of New York City. You can get fried rice at 3 o'clock in the morning, anywhere you are. You're surrounded by artists and musicians and theater people, and people who want to be a part of that animal. I remember going to a pizzeria that was in Hell's Kitchen, and there was a sign on the wall, and it said, New York is an animal, and you either get on and ride it, or it eats you. That's what's so exciting about New York City, is everyone who's there is there because they have elected to be a part of this machine. And when you walk down the street, when you walk down the sidewalk, you feel connected to something that's alive. I was in a hotel in Milwaukee, and I watched the second plane hit the second tower, and I turned off the television and walked to the theater. And when I got there, I was told that the Pentagon had been hit, and I said, I don't think I'll be at rehearsal today. And I walked back to the hotel, during which time the towers fell. And so my day was spent calling family and friends, making sure everybody was okay. I had a friend who worked in the second tower, and we didn't find him until that night. He called me that night from Harlem and said he was fine. And I had a relative on a plane that morning. We didn't find him until the next day. His plane had been rerouted to Canada when they closed the airspace. And so much of that day was spent waiting and wondering and expecting. I feel like all I have to describe the day are words, and they just don't do the day justice. There's nothing I can say that can speak to how horrifying that experience was. I remember the production of The Guys at the Flea Theater that I saw when I finally got to the city. And it helped to close a gap for me. There's a strange sense of shame and a burden in not having been in my city on that day. It left the grieving process incomplete. And Anne's play is as much about New York City as it is about anything. I think that September 11th is a sacred day, not only because of the extraordinary pain and loss, but because it's a day that we can choose to see as a turning point. And it's an opportunity to grow and better and become and to heal. And 15 years later, I do believe that's what New York has done.